G'day, Owen Locke here. Bit of a follow-up to the video I just did on the clutch modification using the springs to space out the clutch washers. And I mentioned in that one that there's another thing that you can do for the clutch, and that is to change the slave cylinder from the 350RR Racing from 2014, I think it is. As I mentioned in that other video, every other beater has the same clutch slave cylinder, and that's this one here on the right. And this one's out of my 300RR Racing from this year. And if we actually have a look at the diameter of this slave cylinder, we can see here that it's about 27 mil, give or take, if I can get it to fit properly in there. There you go, about 27 mil that you've got there is the diameter of the piston there in that slave cylinder. This is a slave cylinder off a 350RR Racing that I mentioned. Pretty sure it's the 2014 model, might need to check that. And if we have a look at this, you can actually see that this one is closer to 28.5 mil is the actual stated size of it. So it's 1.5 mil bigger in diameter. It doesn't sound like a great deal, but it actually works out to be about 11% in surface area if you do your pi/r² equations. So that 11% makes the clutch 11% lighter, also makes it take up 11% lower. I put this on my 300RR Racings, and my cross trainer and my wife's and my brothers and pretty much everyone I know has done this mod, and it's really good. You don't really notice the difference in take-up rate, but you certainly notice the lighter clutch. And if you combine this with the springs under the washers under the springs, you get a really light, really nice clutch. And this slave cylinder, it comes complete with a piston in it, looks like that. It bolts straight in. There's no difference in the outer casing between the two slave cylinders that you can see here. So it's a direct swap over, and it's worth about 60 bucks Australian, which probably works out to be, I don't know, 50 bucks US or a bit less. So it's a pretty cheap and easy clutch mod. Now, I thought I've got some other bits and pieces here which I'll run through. This is a standard Brembo clutch master cylinder, which comes on a beater. Another mod that you can do to make your clutch lighter is a Clake 1 light pull clutch. And I just happen to have one of these sitting here. This is a brilliant piece of engineering, made in Australia by a really innovative guy who's got a whole lot of really interesting products. If you haven't seen the Clake stuff, go to, I think it's www.clake.com.au probably. If not, just Google it and have a look at the Clake website. There's some other similar products which are really nice. Beautifully engineered. They will last a lifetime. There's bearings inside every single rotating piece of equipment, and you can literally swap them from bike to bike forever. The beauty of this clutch is that this adjuster dial here, you can adjust this dial, and as you wind this dial up, it puts more spring tension on the assistance device and makes the clutch lighter. So you can actually tune the weight of your clutch to how you like it. If you go too light with your clutch, you actually lose feel. So you don't want it too light. You want it heavy enough that you still have feel, but light enough that you can use it all day without getting a sore finger. You can see this lever here. It only has an allowance for one finger. The clutch is so light that you only need one finger. You'll never need two fingers. I used to run these all the time. So did my wife. As we've got more into the trial stuff and we've become really sensitive to clutch feel, we've found that we prefer the feel of a standard clutch with these modifications instead. But you're really splitting hairs. Unless you're doing some pretty hardcore hard enduro and you've got a very good trials-based clutch feel, there are no negatives to the Clake 1. There's only positives, and it's a brilliant bit of kit. So I think that's about it for the clutch mods. We've got our slave cylinder, Clake 1. We've been through the spring washers under the springs mod. By the time you combine any two of what we have just discussed, you could probably go all three if you really wanted to go all out, but probably any of the two is enough, and you'll end up with a super light, super progressive clutch, and it's happy trails from there on in. So give it a go. 60 bucks, worth a try. That'll do.